were here for the circus.
Oh, 1980. Now, granted, I was a little bit younger then, but I remember that very, very well.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm Tim Pandagis, been here about 3 years.
Yep. 13 News Now meteorologist Craig Moeller, and I've been here for a while, went away for a little bit, and I'm back. But yeah, all total about 20, 22. Well, anyway, I started here 22, 23 years ago. Go ahead.
My name is Peyton Domschke. I joined the 13 News Now weather team back in December, right before Christmas, and I'm actually from the Midwest, so snow is definitely a part of my past.
No doubt.
And I'm Rochelle Peart, and I'm blaming Peyton for bringing the snow because I've been here almost a year and a half, and we have not had the threat of snow sticking until you got here.
Yeah.
So
This is one of the things we were talking about. All right, so we're all here. Jeff Lawson, we actually talked with him as a team. We all get together and we, work on the forecast. We have discussions. Jeff is up. Hopefully he's watching right now and you're enjoying this either through YouTube or Facebook, and maybe we'll get to some questions. But we wanted to spend this time to let folks know we have the first legitimate shot at snow in Norfolk in like 709 or 8 days.
It's been a long time. Been a really long time. Last season we went completely snowless. And when you get a snowstorm or the threat of snow and it hasn't snowed in this long, it gets the masses in a little bit of a panic, right? Even if it's just for a little bit of snow. But we're going to break down exactly how much you can expect, timing of it and everything, pretty much everything you need to know in the next, couple of minutes.
The joke is like, okay, do we go out and get the ingredients for French toast, right? This is one of those things where we are looking at snow. We can talk about some of these weather headlines. We're basically looking at what should start off as a rain, then change over to mix, maybe pretty quickly, depending on how much cold air works in, and then eventually the snow. So that's one of the big things we want people to know about. This is for Thursday and Thursday evening.
That's right. And, let's go ahead and throw it out there. By Friday, I think there's going to be school delays. So I know there's some kids already doing the snow dance, so they're getting excited. Yeah.
Students and teachers.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see what we wake up to. Accumulation at this point is expected. We're going to pin that down for you. And then I guess we just have to wait and see, what sets up and who gets the most.
yeah, so for sure. We've been watching this for about a week or so now. Things have been really coming together. Things are getting a little bit more clear, but still some time where things could change. So we're going to continue to keep you guys updated, not only online, but on social media as well. So make sure you're following us on all platforms.
Yeah, one of the things that we've been stressing, stay tuned for updates because things can change. All right, so let's get into this. Let's talk about it. First of all, the rain that's been out there. We had rain early this morning, but temperatures were in the low 50s, so it was warm this morning. The rain showers are changing, but look at what's going on with the wind field. We'll go ahead and put that on, and you'll notice the wind field starting to shape up northerly winds. And Evan, you know what that means.
Cold air coming in.
That cold air really anchored across the southern Great Lakes and back through the central U.S. It is finding its way to Hampton Roads. Now, a classic situation for us to get snow, really the more significant snowfall, we kind of have to have that cold air in place a lot of times to get the super heavy snow.
That's right. You want the cold air already in place. This is a situation where we start off with some rain and we're seeing the changeover. The good news is, if you're snow lovers, we got the cold air that's working its way in. Sometimes in these situations, it's tough to get that snow to start to accumulate, but I think that this time we're going to see that, yeah.
And it's really going to depend on the intensity of which the snow or precipitation is coming down. If we get a little bit of some heavy rain, it'll pull down that cold air, and we'll see that change over some heavy snow. So it's going to really depend on that too.
And one of the things we're looking at, the mid-levels of the atmosphere, you go up, a couple thousand feet, and it's going to be very cold air there. We think that's going to help drag down and get that changeover.
Yeah, so definitely watching the temperature profile as you go up higher in the atmosphere. See how things shape up, especially with the potential for the changeover from rain to maybe some mix to snow, because that's going to affect the totals in the end.
And that all comes down to the timing, too, of it all, how quickly that temperature profile really does change, and how much we see, how much places don't see, and that's why totals can change over time.
Let's get into the future cast here. Let's take a look, guys. All right, this is a look today. We're actually going to see, I think, a few breaks in the clouds late afternoon and into the evening. As we go through the overnight, partly cloudy, you'll notice the temperatures, lower 40s, really dropping down, upper 30s inland as we go late evening and into the early morning hours tomorrow. Now, that's much colder than it has been, but it's not the super, hard freeze that we've seen with a lot of the classic heavy snow setups.
Right. Now, Craig, without getting too weather geeky, which is what we all are, which model is this? This is the RPM
model. So we're showing that. You can see, again, temperatures kind of borderline, upper 30s, close to 40. And again, this is just one model's output here that we're looking at. But you can see what happens. that moisture comes up and the temperatures start to drop. Now it's interesting, the trend for this particular RPM model was showing more of the moisture a little closer to the coast and into northeast North Carolina. Some of the other models bring the moisture a little farther north and started a little earlier.
That's right, and that's one of the things that we watch. It's, you know, when you take one model, that's like seeing one frame of a movie. We watch the whole movie. We watch the trends, what the model is doing, you know, yesterday, the day before, what those trends are, and we've been seeing even the RPM is now trending a little bit farther to the north. We saw the euro, it has now sort of come in line and is trending towards the north. So that's what we're watching, you know, just taking one model or one picture, and you'll see somebody post that on Facebook and you know, without any kind of commentary. That's one frame of a movie. You can't get the whole picture just by one image.
And as we get closer to the event, too, we kind of unlock more tools. We get models that are shorter range, better with hyper-local forecasting and things like that. So we're starting to get those in there, too.
Yeah, that's going to be a big help as we pin this thing down later today, tonight, and tomorrow. That's why we keep stressing. Keep tuning in for updates. All right, let's take a look at how this plays out. And again, this is one of the models, but you'll notice some of the heavier snow down into North Carolina and areas close to the coast. Now, I do think that we will see the moisture extending farther back to the west from this one. This is just one model, again, pulling it a little closer, but the other models tend to spread the snow a little bit farther to the west, and then eventually we see it winding down as we go through about 2 or 3 o'clock on Friday morning. So I just wanted to share that. Now, as far as models and snow total comparisons, take a look. These are 2 of the models here. You can see the NAM versus the GFS models. Go ahead, guys. I'll let you guys talk about it.
I mean, these models have been the most consistent, right? The NAM has been showing a very snowy scenario right since it was able to kind of see it out in the future. It's been consistent. GFS as well, it's wavered kind of north or south just a little bit, but the European model, which is, you know, always the best, right? But it's a little bit best the farther out in the future you are. A little bit short term, not so much.
Yeah, the euro really hit on a couple of big storms a few years ago. I will say the GFS has gotten much better more recently. So the models are constantly being refined and tweaked and everything. But again, the euro was a little bit of an outlier, but now it's coming in line, as you mentioned, with some of the other models. All right, you see the ranges there, the high end on the NAM, okay? That's one of them that is what we call a mesoscale model. It's got a little more detail here locally. The GFS is one of our global models. We'll take a look at another one here. And again, this is a broader view of the NAM. You can see how it fills in with those same ranges. All right, let's take a look at the GEM. This is a Canadian model. Who wants to talk about this one? Oh, look at that. It just popped back off. All right, one more time. There's the NAM, and here's the GEM, and it's going to jump off probably that last frame. I will say the GEM is down a little bit from earlier, so kind of interesting.
That's right, and you know, the models will flip-flop a little bit, or they'll have those variances depending on the model run, depending on the dynamics that are entered into the computer models. And people sometimes ask, well, why do we have so many different computer models? Why is one better than the other? And it's about computing power, it's about the data that's going into it, and it's about, you know, just the scientists who have put in the formulas and the equations that we all studied. These people who are far smarter than I think all of us, who came up with these big long formulas and equations to make these computer models run, they're all a little bit different, and they interpret the atmosphere in different ways, different layers of the atmosphere. So there's a lot that goes into it.
And different countries produce their own models. That GEM is the Canadian model. There's the ICON, which is produced by the Germans. We have the Euro, which is a joint effort. There's a UK model. There's just different models from different countries. And again, it's great that we can access all this information. Now, we were talking, guys, about kind of the general forecast thinking here at 13 News Now. And we talked with Jeff again this morning. And you've guys have seen kind of the variety of outcomes. You know, if everything lines up, we could see higher amounts. But this is what we're looking at. And Tim, what you're going to talk about today at noon.
Yeah, we're looking at 3+ inches in that area that's purplish. Locally higher totals, right? So that plus does encompass areas that could see some heavier banding set on up as we get into Thursday night into early Friday. Less the farther north and west you go, and close to the coast, the influence of the warmer ocean waters should limit totals there a little bit too.
So that 3+, if we were going to put up a range, you know, a little earlier I was saying 2 to 4 with locally higher amounts. That 3+ would say, hey, 3 to 4, 5 inches in some areas. If things line up and if we get some convective bands where you get snow over the same area, you could see even higher amounts. Didn't know if you guys had any thoughts on that. You're like, go
No,
on.
we're like, we agree.
Yeah, and as we get closer to it, this is not set in stone, right? It can change either up or down depending on new model data.
And it's so important to know. I mean, Evan, we've seen for so many years, sometimes everything looks one way and then it'll switch and, you've got to pivot with the forecast. So this stuff is not set in stone, as Tim mentioned, but with the models kind of coming into a closer agreement, we're starting to gain more confidence that we're going to see something.
Right, and I think this is going to be another one of those situations where that northern edge and the northern and western edge, we're going to see a sharp cutoff somewhere. And, people might remember, there's experiences, where like Newport News, you're in the southern end of the city and you've got several inches, you're in the north end and you don't get anything, or you drive across the Coleman Bridge, or even south side to the peninsula, there's going to be that sharp cutoff somewhere.
Yeah, we talk about those convective bands or the heavier bands of snow that can form, not unlike a thunderstorm where some areas could get a lot of rain or you get that training effect and then other areas miss out. So I thought this was fun. Peyton, you pulled this one out of the closet here. Talk to us about what we've got going on in there.
Okay, so like I mentioned, I'm from the Midwest. We're used to having the snow blower out ready to go when we have these systems come into play. But here, I was telling Greg this morning, Rochelle too, a little bit about all the things. Rochelle being in Iowa, going to school, like all of those concepts. Do people even have their ice scrapers ready to go in their car? Just those things that you can prepare yourself with ahead of any type of storm. You don't need to run to the grocery store and grab everything off the shelves, but maybe preparing yourself in a different way, in a sense, beyond just the food aspect of things, but getting the leaf blower, the snow shovel, depending on where you are situated. Some of those snow totals that maybe end up being a little bit greater, the snow shovel itself isn't going to, it's actually going to help you a lot more.
You
than
bet.
some of those other things.
Yeah, if we get 3 or 4 inches of snow, you better have a snow shovel. So anyway, this is what we're looking at. Just real quickly on the forecast, we're going to be updating this. Any final thoughts? And we're going to make a plug too for our Daybreakers Facebook group. If you're watching, we have a lot of interaction, lots of pictures posted. Of course, you can send pictures to any of us or post them. What's the best way to generally send them into news, Evan? Pictures?
Well, you can. One of the easiest ways is posting it through Facebook, sending us messages, or even tagging us on Twitter is another way that we can get those. And you can always send them in, via email. To the station as well.
Love to get them. Now, if you'd like to join our Daybreakers Facebook group, you can request 13 News Now Daybreakers. There's a couple real simple questions on there, and we'll add you to the group. We'd love to have you come in. You can see some of the pictures and discussions, access to 13 News Now and our Daybreak program. Certainly. The other thing, probably the best way to keep our forecast information, our radar stuff with you, is to download the 13 News Now app. You see right there the code. You can scan that and download the app right now. It's such an easy way to do it, and this thing is awesome. When we tweet out information, you'll see it in a carousel that pops right up on the app. You'll get access to the radars, our forecast updates, live broadcast. It's all right there. Obviously, we talk about this. The app is absolutely free, and we'd love to have you guys, download that and be a part of our coverage here. All right, here's the outlook. The good news, if you're over the snow, is that it does look like it's going to be a Thursday evening thing into early Friday morning. We should see drier conditions prevail Friday by sunrise. And how about that weekend?
Yeah, that snow's not going to last long. It'll be gone by next week.
Average for this time of year.
Yeah.
So pretty mild.
So temps getting back up a little bit warmer. The one thing we'll be watching very carefully Friday morning is if we do get some of those heavier amounts, we could have some slushy spots, and with lows down around 30. Obviously, that morning commute could be an issue. Obviously, the school closures and delays, we'll be watching that as well. Final thoughts, Rochelle?
Also, wherever we do see the snow, it is going to be bright. No matter how much cloud cover, even just a little bit of sunshine, it is going to be bright. And that actually helps to keep temperatures a little bit on the cooler side for Friday. If you get just a little bit of snow, that albedo will be in full effect.
May
Grab the sunglasses.
May drop those temperatures, and obviously you want to protect your eyes. All right, Midwesterner from the heartland, Chicago, what do you think?
I do want to, I was talking about this earlier with everyone. There's folklore that happens when students kind of, or even the teachers out there, preparing themselves for the potential of a snow day. And maybe you can discuss in our comments below and drop whatever kind of folklore you participate in. I was telling Tim himself that I used to cut out snowflakes and out of the paper and stick them on the window. There's things about putting an orange in the freezer, doing like little
To get your
gimmicks
snow
to
day.
get your snow
All
day.
right.
So I want to know if anyone out there does that themselves. I'll be wishing for you just as much
You know,
success and
we
the
knew
potential.
she
of
was
this.
odd. I didn't know she was that odd. Final thoughts, guys?
We come to
I
work
think this is
tomorrow.
going to be a nice little snow event for us. I don't think it's going to be anything that paralyzes the area, but pretty good chance of seeing the snow day on Friday for most school districts.
All right.
Yeah, and the main thing is take it, if you do have to go out on the roads, just take it easy late Thursday night into Friday, because, you know, driving, a lot of folks around here, it's been a while since we've had snow, maybe not totally used to driving in the snow.
The brakes.
If you've got a Mustang that sits low to the ground, don't go flying down interstate and through some some of those snow drifts. Once those ruts get cut and stuff, it gets hard to move in and out of the lane. So just let VDOT do their job and enjoy the snow from the inside of your home.
And remember, if we do get some icy spots, even four-wheel drive don't do well if it's icy. So you need to just be super careful. All right, Jeff Lawson will be in tonight. You guys have your hands full. We're going to be back in tomorrow and ready to go. Thank you guys so much for joining us again live on Facebook and YouTube. Stay tuned to 13 News Now and the Weather Team for updates.